What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. Lots of folks have been asking me what to use in Chaos 8, and it goes back to the game's basics. A lot opened up to us in this last update, and as most of you know, we have been just vomiting trap auras and nodes all over the maps for the last many years. Well, that time has now come to an end, as Chaos 8 is back to the base counters of the game. So if we take a look at each Chaos tier, Chaos 1 is going to have Vanguards, which have a frontal shield. This means in Chaos 1 difficulty, your best bet is to use traps, auras, and nodes. Then we've got Chaos 2. Chaos 2 introduces the Cyborgs. Cyborgs are going to disable traps, auras, and nodes. So what does that mean? You don't use traps, auras, and nodes, you use towers. Chaos 3 introduces the Geode. This is a big old bubble and will reflect projectiles. Additionally, there is the Vanguards making a return in Chaos 3. That means Chaos 3 would be back to traps, auras, and nodes. In Chaos 4, we've got, once again, the Vanguards and the Geodes with the introduction of the Berserker. This leads us back to traps, auras, and nodes, and crowd control will make a huge difference. Although Berserkers can't be slowed, they can be stunned, and is extremely powerful when it comes to fighting enemies there. In Chaos 5, we've got the Dark Assassins are the newest entry. We've got Vanguards, we've got Cyborgs, we've got Geodes, and we've got those Berserkers back. Now, with Cyborgs in the mix, it means that we are back to towers, absolutely. However, you want to stay away from projectile towers since you've got the Geodes and the Vanguards in the mix. In Chaos 6, we make the jump back to traps, auras, and nodes. Once again, we got lots of reflective enemies that either absorb or reflect projectile damage, meaning traps, auras, and nodes are going to be king. Chaos 7, traps, auras, and nodes once again. With the Kobolds, Kobolds are going to dive bomb any towers, meaning you don't want to use towers that are just going to get blown up, or you have to have great range or very tricky placement. And then finally, we are here at Chaos 8. Now, Chaos 8 is introducing the Death Weaver, or Spider. These spiders are going to place a web on the ground at their death that is going to reduce the defense rate, the defense power, and the defense range of anything in the area. This means that traps, auras, and nodes are out. Definitely not the best thing to use. You'll want to make the move over to towers. As you see here, we've got no Kobolds in Chaos 8, which is the direct counter to towers. So with that in mind, towers are going to be your go-to defense to get the job done. The spiders are going to place that web effect on any traps, auras, and nodes that they die in, and if you're using traps, auras, and nodes, that is where the spider is going to die. So there's no counter to this. There is one ground defense that is still quite helpful, which we get into in a moment. However, it is now all about towers. So what tower are you going to use? Use the tower you like the best, because any well-built tower is going to get the job done. Me, for example, I've been using lots and lots of skeleton archers. That new shard for the skeletal archers is quite fun. If you like the skeleton archers, they can get the job done. I've also been going back to good old faithful, the PDT and Earth Shatter. That works great too. But say you're in the mood to use some ballistas, use some ballistas. There is no tower that is off limits in Chaos 8. Now, with that in mind, I personally set up 2 relics. You only need 2. You need one without Piercer Servo and one with Piercer Servo. So I've got 2 relics completely set up and jacked up here now. I did make sure to get defense rate on both of them, and I personally am not using a lot of defenses together. So diverse defenses make no sense for me, as I'm just not using a lot of defenses. When I put my towers down, I like to spam them. I want 10 archers. I don't want 2 archers, a Ramster, a Frostbite, and a bunch of other defenses. I like to really focus on the archers. Same thing with like the PDT Earth Shatter. I'm going to add more PDTs, more Earth Shatters, and not more different defenses. So I personally went with anti-melee, and having defense rate on both of my relics frees up that shard slot where we don't need to worry about defense rate, and we can kind of do whatever we want, like on my ballistas, mass destruction, splody, and deadly strikes. On, say, an earth shatter, I've got earth toss, and then double stacking mass destruction and destruction. Freeing up that shard slot from having defense rate makes a huge difference and will make all of your towers scream. So no need to set up a bazillion different defenses, and one of the biggest benefits that comes in this update is 10 out of 10 mods are no longer required. Of course, we all want them. You're going to want them. I want them. Everybody wants to have the 10 out of 10 mods. However, you don't need the 10 out of 10 mods to get the job done. The only difference here is defense rate. If you don't have a 10 out of 10, at least Chaos 8 quality defense rate, you're going to have to throw in a defense rate shard as well to get up to the speed caps. With everything else, 10 out of 10 doesn't matter. Piercer Servo doesn't have to be 10 out of 10. Any of your anti-mods do not have to be 10 out of 10. So get in there, spam up those tower-type defenses, and get the job done. Lots of folks have been saying, but I've already got my Flame Aura relic set up. What do I do? This was my Flame Aura relic that I'm now using on my towers. These relics can be picked up and moved to other defenses, so don't sit there and hang on to something that is no longer wildly effective. Move it to something else and get your Netflix back in order. Now, there is one ground defense that really shines in Chaos 8, and that is the Proton Beam. And it's important to realize exactly how the Spider's debuff works. It's very similar to Frost Orcs, so Tenacity is not going to do anything for you. As you see, I've still got Tenacity on my Proton Beams, however, it is doing nothing but tying up a shard slot, but I'll be damned if I'm going to throw a 10 out of 10 Tenacity away, so I've got it on there anyway. Now, Frost Orcs are going to lower the defense rate of your defenses, meaning that if you overcap the rate and get yourself as close to 100% increase in rate as possible, you are going to negate the effect of the Frost Orcs. The same can be said about the Spiders, however, the Spiders are reducing the range and the power as well. Now, obviously, there's no way to overcap rate, power, and range, so there is no direct counter for the Spiders as far as ground traps go. However, in the case of the Proton Beam, remember they get no benefit at all from range, so having their range reduced does nothing. We don't use Proton Beams for their damage, so being reduced in power doesn't really make a difference. What Proton Beams are best used for is their ability to crowd control, as they do have a innate and natural slow that will slow enemies down, but additionally there is the Frosty Beam Shard, which gives your Proton Beams a chance to freeze, which is a stun type of CC. Now, so you've got two forms of CC in the Proton Beams, but additionally, remember Proton Beams are not attuned to a particular element. So you can throw an element on your Proton Beams to get yourself an elemental combo set up. So, like, I like to use poison on my Proton Beams, so if I want poison in a lane, I can either use a poison dart tower, or I can throw some Proton Beams up in the lane, get that poison applied, and still get a little bit of crowd control value out of it besides the elemental combo. So I'm still going to get the slow and the freeze that come with the Proton Beams. Now, what I mean by getting to 100% rate is if you add up all of your rate bonuses. So you're going to get 35% rate from your Ascension. You've got 35% right there. If you've got a Gilded Deadly Strike Shard, you're going to get, a Gilded Defense Rate Shard, you're going to get an additional 41% off of that. However, right now, Chaos 8 is basically free. All you have to do is run some expeditions. Chaos 8 amps are just thrown at you, and Chaos 8 defenses are dropping. So if you have a Chaos 8 10 out of 10, you're not going to need a Gilded Shard, of course. So I am way, way over the cap by getting 40% rate on my 10 out of 10 mod. I'm getting an additional 33% rate from just a regular old defense rate shard, and then I've got my 35% rate from my Ascension. So no matter what, spiders are doing nothing to the rate of my proton beams. I don't care about their damage, so their power is getting reduced. However, they take nothing at all from range, so the range is just a non-factor. So I'm able to get that crowd control and the poison applied in the lane just by overcapping the rate, just like you would against Frost Orc enemies. So that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time around with some more Dungeon Defenders in all of its various flavors, shapes, and forms. Thanks again, y'all. I will see ya next time around.